Making headlines. The President and the First Lady extends their New Year 2025 greetings to head of state and governments of friendly nations. The President states that 2025 will be a year when various development projects will commence across different parts of the country. And the President states that the government succeeded in empowering the Maldivian people, protecting and defending the country's sovereignty in 2024.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Hello and welcome to PSN News in English with me, Mahmoud. Looking into the details, President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu and First Lady Madam Sajida Mohammed extends their New Year 2025 greetings to heads of state and governments of friendly nations, the heads of international organizations and resident diplomatic missions.
In their message, President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu and First Lady Sajida expressed their wishes for the new year to bring positive fortune, success and happiness. In his New Year address to the Maldivian people on the occasion, President Dr. Muizzu outlined the country's specific set goals, highlighting a clear roadmap for transitioning to the ranks of developed nations. The President noted that the new year presents an opportunity to set resolutions at national, community and individual levels. He stressed the government's commitment to serving the people with sincerity, fulfilling promises, maintaining trust and staying consistently close to the populace to find permanent solutions to the problem. Stating that the foundation of development and contentment lies in peace, respect and affection, President Dr. Muizzu encouraged every citizen to prioritize positive thinking and reconciliation as individual resolutions for the new year. He concluded his address by urging all Maldivians to work together towards national development with a unified goal. 2024 has been a year of notable decisions under the administration of President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu, marking it as a significant period of change for the Maldives. Among the pivotal decisions was the initiation of community rehabilitation programs for drug abusers and the approval for developing rehabilitation centers in 3 regions across the country. This year also witnessed the establishment of the Maldives Industrial Development Free Zone, aimed at generating income through the re-export sector. Additionally, President Dr. Muizzu amended the Tobacco Control Act, increasing the duty on tobacco products and banning the import, sale and use of vapes and vaping devices.
President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu states that the 2025 will be a year when various development projects will commence across different parts of the country, economic prosperity will be restored, and general prosperity will begin to reach the entire nation. He made these remarks in his address to the Maldivian people, extending his good wishes and congratulations for the new year. In his address, the President said while the world is seeing the light of a new year by the grace of God, the Maldives is meeting this day with beacons of hope, of visions of development and Islamic brotherhood. The President extended his sincere best wishes and congratulations to all the people of the Maldives on the occasion of the new year. The President said the year 2025 will be a year of implementation towards achieving this vision. He said that development projects will be launched across Maldives, resulting in the restoration of economic prosperity and new opportunities for workers. This, in turn, will bring prosperity as a whole to the entire country, the President stated, affirming that 2025 will be a year of responsible nation building for the future of the Maldivian people. He prayed to the Almighty to grant goodness and protect the Maldives as an independent country. President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu states that the government succeeded in empowering the Maldivians in 2024 and protected and defended the country's sovereignty.
In a post shared on social media to mark the end of 2024, President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu noted that the recent constitutional amendments had given people a say in important matters of the state, which he described as true empowerment of the Maldivian people. With the message, the President shared the details of the constitutional amendments, which he had earlier labeled as people-centric reforms. One of the key constitutional amendments passed by the Parliament and ratified by the President in November involves modification to the country's territory. Previously, such changes required a two-thirds majority approval from the Parliament. The new amendment strengthens this requirement to a three-quarters majority. Additionally, the country's maritime territory can now be defined up to the Exclusive Economic Zone (EEZ), and any changes to these territorial boundaries will require both a three-quarters majority in the Parliament and approval through a public referendum. The territory includes the Maldives land, airspace, sea, seabed and territorial waters as defined by the law. Another significant addition to the Constitution now requires parliamentary approval before any foreign military personnel can be deployed within Maldivian territory except for military exercises conducted under contractual terms. The other amendment will now obligate governments to seek public opinion before bringing changes to the Constitution, including any changes to the article on public referendums. President Dr. Muizzu had described these as critical decisions made with patriotic fervor and national spirit, serving to protect Maldivian citizens' rights while safeguarding the country's independence, sovereignty, development and stability.
The Ministry of Finance and Planning reveals that the state has collected an additional $17.7 million in airport taxes following the enforcement of a new amendment to the Airport Taxes and Fees Act. The new amendment to the Airport Taxes and Fees Act came into force on December 1st, affecting passengers departing from the country. According to the Finance Ministry, since enforcing the amendment law, the state has acquired an additional $17,769,193 in revenue. Under the new regulations, the airport development fee applies to passengers traveling from Malana International Airport (VAA). However, only the departure tax is levied on passengers departing from international airports in other parts of the country. The amendment raised airport development taxes and fees for foreign travelers. The changes are part of the government's broader fiscal reform agenda. According to the weekly fiscal development report released by the Finance Ministry, as of December 26, 2023, the state collected approximately $64 million. However, during the same period this year, the state has collected approximately $71.3 million. The statistics indicated that last year, as of December 26, 2023, the state collected approximately $62.3 million as airport service charges and departure taxes. This figure has risen to approximately $71.3 million this year, following the enforcement of the new amendment legislation. This means that since enforcing the new legislation, the state has generated an additional income of approximately $7.7 million. Despite these adjustments, the fees for Maldivian passengers traveling in economy class have remained unchanged. Minister of Islamic Affairs Dr. Muhammad Shahim Ali Said announces an array of substantial initiatives set to be rolled out in 2025, underscoring the ministry's commitment to enhancing community welfare and promoting Islamic values.
During an event to inaugurate the ministry's activities for the upcoming year, Minister Dr. Shahim detailed several key programs and initiatives. Among the notable announcements were the ministry's 2025 Action Plan, the Risala program, and the Namadu Matiweri Kurumge program. He also highlighted two major development projects, the construction of the Waqf building and the commencement of a project to develop a Zakat house. According to Minister Dr. Shahim, the Namadu Matiweri Kurumge program aims to raise public awareness about the importance of prayer in Islam, encouraging timely daily prayers. This initiative will include a series of sermons delivered by scholars who will visit local households, and the program will cover various topics including fiqh, the meanings of du'as, and the names of Almighty Allah. The ministry will also continue the Risala program, which was successfully carried out in 2024. According to Minister Dr. Shahim, the 2025 edition will focus on instilling and promoting moral character, ethics and manners, values central to the identity of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. At the ceremony, awards were presented to the winners of the English and Divehi categories of the Risala program 2024, which saw participation from 281 individuals. The Risala program aims to promote Islamic guidance and foster a community that upholds religious values.
A policy has been formulated to ensure that the underprivileged as well as education level are prioritized in providing assistance under the Zakat Fund.
The policy gazetted by the Ministry of Islamic Affairs provides assistance from the Zakat Fund to higher education students who do not have financial means to pursue education in lawful fields. According to the Zakat Fund Higher Education Assistance Policy, all costs for courses from level 5 to level 10 of the National Qualifications Framework will be covered under the Zakat Fund scholarships. While courses in the Islamic field will be prioritized, scholarships will also be awarded only for centers that offer courses validated by the Maldives Qualification Authority and recognized by the authority. If pursuing education abroad, institutions in select organizations of Islamic cooperation countries will be prioritized. The policy also allows pursuing education at educational institutes in non-OIC countries. If the program is for a field that requires a license, the center from which education is obtained must be recognized by the licensing institution and validated by the Maldives Qualification Authority. The policy further states that those registered as poor and needy will be prioritized alongside considerations for financial constraints, education levels, and service to the nation. However, those who wish to pursue a course at a higher level than their existing qualifications and students who wish to pursue a course that integrates Islamic concepts related to their field of study will be exempt from this sector. According to the policy, an individual who has already been granted education opportunities through the government or any other state entity is ineligible for higher education assistance under the Zakat Fund.
Government policies have been updated such that state-owned companies are now required to obtain permission from the Ministry of Finance and Planning before taking out loans. The changes were brought under the guidelines on borrowing by state-owned companies prepared by the Privatization and Corporatization Board (PCB). According to the amendments to the guidelines, government-owned companies seeking to borrow will have to follow the steps outlined in the guideline and send the decision of the company's board for shareholder approval. Once this step is completed and the approval is received, the PCB must be notified within 5 days. Under this rule, once all steps under the guideline are completed, a request has to be made to the Finance Ministry seeking permission for borrowing. The PCB has also recommended other business entities of the state to complete the steps in the guideline and obtain shareholders' permission before pursuing loans. The PCB has also made changes to the criteria for classifying newly formed companies. The PCB's board holds a responsibility of classifying companies based on their purpose and their capital with recommendations from the Finance Ministry. Based on PCB's classification, allowances must be paid to the board directors of newly formed companies in accordance with the guidelines. When a company completes its first full year of operation, government companies will be reclassified after an assessment. With these changes, newly created government-owned companies will be classified by the PCB board based on their objectives and capital with input from the Finance Ministry. Malay Water and Sewerage Company Private Limited (MWSC) has concluded water and sewerage projects across 20 islands as part of the Public Sector Investment Programme (PSIP). The projects included the establishment of water systems in 5 islands and water and sewerage systems in 15 islands. The scope of these projects included the construction of facility buildings for water plants, establishment of water plants and other facilities required for water production, installation of water storage tanks, laying the main networks for water and sewerage pipes, and pipeline connection to households. Additionally, the establishment of pumping stations for sewerage systems and the installation of sea outflow and reject lines are also part of the project. Furthermore, the provision of water and sewerage maintenance equipment and water analysis equipment is also part of the project. The water and sewerage projects of 20 islands were awarded to MWSC by the Ministry of National Planning, Housing and Infrastructure. According to the government, the state spent $86.9 million on these projects. On achieving its target of completing all 20 projects by the end of the year, MWSC credited the achievement to the hard work of its team. The projects will ensure clean drinking water and safe sewerage systems for the residents of the islands. Indian shares fell on Tuesday, dragged by information technology stocks and tracking other Asian peers lower as elevated U.S. Treasury yields continue to weigh on emerging markets.
The Nifty shed 0.51% to 23,522.9 points, while the BSE Sensex was down 0.62% to 77,761.62. Indian stock market expert Sunil Shah said that India is witnessing an outflow of currency through large caps and legacy businesses.
As of now, the opening session on the last day is not all that good. Sensex is down by around 500 points, and the reason is simple. There is selling by foreign portfolio investors. Also, the sector rotation is taking place. So we are witnessing that money is moving out of those some large caps and those legacy businesses, which the companies with legacy businesses, and money is moving to new sunrise industry, also the companies which are relatively new and not part of any indices.
The drop in IT companies, which earn a significant share of their revenue from the US, comes amid broader market weakness since the US Federal Reserve earlier this month signaled fewer rate reductions in 2025 than expected earlier. That pushed Treasury yields higher, which makes emerging markets such as India less attractive for foreign institutional investors. Foreign institutional investors have sold shares for the past 10 sessions in a row, offloading shares worth about $2.8 billion.
UN Human Rights Office publishes a report containing Israeli attacks on hospitals in Gaza, saying they had devastated the Palestinian enclave's health system and raised concerns about Israel's compliance with international law. In the report documenting various attacks between October 12, 2023 and June 30, 2024, the UN Rights Office said they had severe consequences on Palestinians' access to medical attention. The 23-page report concluded that since the Hamas attack of October 7, 2023 against Israel, the conduct of hostilities in Gaza had destroyed local healthcare.
A report by the UN Human Rights Office has found that Israel's pattern of deadly attacks on and around Gaza's hospitals pushed the healthcare system to the brink of collapse with catastrophic effect. The report graphically details the impact of Israel's attacks, from the destruction of buildings and facilities to the killings of patients, staff and other civilians, raising serious concerns about Israel's compliance with international law.
The Israeli military did not immediately reply to a request for comment on the report. Israel has in the past few days conducted operations against hospitals in Gaza that drew criticism from the head of the World Health Organization, WHO, among others. The Israeli military has accused Hamas of using the hospitals as command centers for military operations and said people Israel has detained at the facilities were suspected militants. The UN report alluded to such arguments, but said not enough information had been made public to substantiate them. The report said deliberately directing attacks against hospitals and places where the sick and wounded are provided they are not military objectives would be war crimes. Israel has consistently rejected such suggestions. The UN said that responding to its report, the Israeli government said its military had taken extensive measures to mitigate civilian harm and minimize disruption, including providing aid and evacuation routes and setting up field hospitals. Israel's campaign against Hamas in Gaza has killed more than 45,500 Palestinians, according to Palestinian health officials, and turned the enclave into a wasteland. Barcelona applies for new players' licenses for Dani Olmo and Pau Victor with the Spanish FA RFEF on Tuesday, while the club denies claims of requesting any delay from governing bodies for their registrations. The announcement was made hours before the midnight registration deadline. Barcelona lost a second appeal to register the players for the remainder of the season on Monday, with the club unable to meet La Liga's wage cap. The Catalan club said in a statement that Barcelona informs that it has applied for a new license for the players Daniel Olmo and Pau Victor to the RFEF. Barcelona signed Olmo in August for around 55 million euros or $57.22 million, but the attacking midfielder was registered for only the first half of the season. Efforts to extend both registrations have hit repeated roadblocks, with Barcelona's appeals dismissed by La Liga and various judicial authorities. While Olmo and Victor will be free agents after the deadline, Barcelona could meet the economic requirements to sign them before the transfer market closes in February. However, according to RFEF rules, a player cannot be signed by the same club twice in the same season. Barcelona is reportedly planning to raise funds by selling VIP box seats at the Camp Nou stadium, potentially generating over 100 million euros, subject to La Liga's approval. The Spanish league said later on Tuesday, however, that Barcelona have not provided any alternative that, in compliance with La Liga's economic control regulations, would allow them to register any player as of January 2nd. The club is currently third in La Liga, trailing leaders Atletico Madrid by 3 points, and will play against Barbastro in the Copa del Rey on Saturday. India launches its first space docking mission on an Indian-made rocket in an attempt to become the fourth country to achieve the advanced technological feat.
3, 2, 1, 0.
The mission, called Space Docking Experiment SPADEX, lifted off from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in Andhra Pradesh state aboard the Indian Space Research Organization's ISRO workhorse PSLV rocket. After around 15 minutes, the mission director called the launch successful after the spacecraft reached an altitude of around 470 kilometers. The mission is seen as pivotal for future space endeavors, including satellite servicing and the operation of the country's planned space station.
Happy to announce the successful accomplishment of the launch of PSLV C-60 for the SpaceX mission. The rocket has placed the satellites in the right orbit, which is 475 kilometer circular orbit.
In-space docking technology is crucial when multiple rocket launches are required to achieve shared mission objectives. The Indian mission involves deploying two small spacecrafts, each weighing about 220 kilograms, into a 470-kilometer circular orbit. It will also demonstrate the transfer of electric power between the docked spacecraft, a capability vital for applications such as in-space robotics, composite spacecraft control, and payload operations following undocking. Each satellite carries advanced payloads including an imaging system and a radiation monitoring device designed to measure electron and proton radiation levels in space, providing critical data for future human spaceflight missions. ISRO Chairman S. Somanath said the actual testing of the docking technology could take place in about a week's time and indicated a nominal date of around January 7th. A successful demonstration would place India alongside the United States, Russia and China as the only countries to have developed and test this capability. In a first for India, the rocket and the satellites were integrated and tested at a private company called Anath Technologies rather than at a government body.
That's it for now. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant day ahead. Bye-bye.
අයිනුජයන ලදුන් නිශ්චාකර්ශ විශ්චංජයනය මිය ආර්මගෙන ඉසාෆ් කුරමච්ච ගෙන්න්නන I promise